Hello, my name is Catherine Phillips. I want you to take a second and think of all the women in your life, your family, your friends, and even your teachers. I want to give a trigger warning now for anyone that may have PTSD or have been through a domestic violence situation that some of the things I say or some of the images may trigger you. The World Health Organization article on COVID-19 and violence against women states that 1 in 3 women will experience physical and/or sexual violence. Violence against women has many forms and it is a global health crisis. I want to convey the types of violence that women go through, what is currently happening with COVID-19, and what is still happening around the world today that some of us are very unaware of. Violence is most commonly sexual and physical, but it can also be mental, verbal, emotional. It is most often committed by an intimate partner. Due to COVID-19, the global pandemic, there's a shortage of funds, which means there's a shortage of safety precautions, and it's causing a lot of cutbacks on a lot of support women need in domestic violence situations and other situations they're trying to get away from, according to the Flora of USA Today. Violence increases with natural disasters and stress. An example of verbal abuse that has no sexual connotation would be what happened with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Representative Ted Yoho. Without AOC speaking up, we never would have known what happened on the steps and the names that she was called, which is verbal abuse. It is due to COVID-19, many domestic violence survivors are triggered as well. I know this shows a woman sitting there drinking her coffee, looking out her window, but that's what some of us may be seeing, but to them, the walls and the windows can feel like bars on a cell. Many of them feel trapped in their homes or are scared because they've lost their job, they've lost their support, their way to support themselves, and it triggers them back to a time that they didn't have any control over anything in their lives, that they were kept in a house. They had to follow rules and they were controlled and felt like they had no way out. There are many things that go around the world today that most have not heard of or think that it's not happening in our day and age. While doing my research, I came across something called femicide. To quote the World Health Organization, it's generally understood to involve the intentional murder of women because they are women. Some examples of femicide are honor killings, which, as you can see in this map, is still very prevalent today. Dowry-related killings, which is still a very large thing in Africa and some Asian countries I found. Women being murdered for their sexual orientation, so women who aren't just straight cis women. Human trafficking. Non-intimate femicide, which is mostly women being serial killed or a serial killer killing women because of their hatred for women. In order to end the violence against women, the governments need to step up law enforcement and healthcare professional training on how to take evidence and noticing relationships between victims and abusers. So being trained on the signs of abuse. In this picture, it's women of Tajikistan learning how to end domestic violence in their village. With the help of the British government. The British government started a 7-year project in 2019 that is targeting countries with some of the highest abuse rates, levels of abuse, to assist with programs and to gather evidence, since it's difficult to find evidence internationally, says the Guardian's article by Ford from November 2019. As I was doing my research, it was very difficult to find any sort of numbers for the past few years. Lastly, the Violence in the United States, the Violence Against Women Act, is sitting on the desk in Congress, waiting to be reapproved. It has to be approved every 5 years. And the version that's currently waiting on approval would address loopholes. It would address loopholes in punishing violence on tribal lands, make it easier for survivors to secure housing, and to prohibit gun purchases by people who have been convicted of domestic violence. Here are some resources to get help or to refer someone to if you just know someone who's in a situation that needs it. If not for these programs, I wouldn't have my best friend or my sister, both of whom went through a form of domestic violence. Thank you.